All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Thomas, and I'm the headquarters and also the DCO for Mag 11. Just want to say that appreciate all you coming out today, taking time out of your busy schedule, do the things that we can do, and as we pay our respects to Gunnery Sergeant Ventura, and celebrate his he's had years of service in the Marine Corps. So, first, I'd like to say thanks to Mom and kids, brother, sister. Obviously, family came out from New York to make the trip across the country. And first of all, I want to say without your support, there's no way that Gny Sgt would have been able to progress at the level he did all the way to the top of his career. With that, the tremendous sacrifices you guys have made often goes unnoticed, but there's absolutely no way without the support. And also, sorry, Ventura, for you as well. I'm up here screwing up already. But obviously, the support that you guys have provided, the sacrifices you guys have made, often goes unrecognized, but definitely not unnoticed by the Marines that are working with Gny Sgt. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate everything you guys have done to allow him to rise to the top like he has. We got Sergeant Major here. Appreciate you coming out. Any other commanders in the audience?
God bless you.
All right. Some issues that pop up and decisions that need to be made. And I definitely can't thank you enough for all the mentorship and guidance you gave me. And hopefully, like to think, it was a relatively successful time as the headquarters CEO. So appreciate all the hard work. I definitely learned a tremendous amount. And I can't thank you enough for all the support you provided for me during that time. I got a cheat sheet. Just want to kind of go through the highlights. You guys have the brochures there. Just go through a couple of the highlights of Gunnery Sergeant Ventura's career. Kind of talk about some of the things that he probably hasn't told you all about. I know for the family, maybe you aren't aware of some of the outstanding things that Gunny's done, but I'll try to highlight some of the key points and keep this faster and funnier. So like the chaplain said, you've heard already, he enlisted September 1995, 20 years ago, went through boot camp at Paris Island, and then went down to Millington, Tennessee to go through A school, and then down to North Island here in Coronado for C school. From there, jumped off Cherry Point for his first duty station, working with Miles 14. And then first squadron, getting his feet wet as the GSC rep of the squadron there with BMA 231. After that, rolls out to K-Bay. You notice a kind of a trend here where he ends up in Hawaii quite a little bit during his career. With that said, he basically hit all points of the country as well as out of Japan. So goes through K-Bay and attached to HMT 301, and immediately you see he's riding to the top. He's the guide out there, which is junior Marine. It's kind of a big deal for the family that aren't aware. Definitely knows for leadership, and is immediately taking the helm as the squadron guide. After that, he takes a brief trip out to Iwakuni, Japan, working with Miles 12. Spends about a year in Iwakuni. Immediately rising up to the top. For those that don't know, the production control chief at Miles is kind of the pinnacle job that you strive for in the Miles organization. And he was immediately jumping in there. He was a junior staff sergeant at the time and making things happen out there. So again, contributing to his leadership along the way. Following that, he retrogrades back to North Island, back to C school, being instructor there in North Island. And again, spent 3 years there, giving back everything that he's learned up to that point to the Marines as a mentor and leader, basically teaching the young Marines as they're coming through, learning their skills. While he was there, he also was in charge of the Navy's PT program. So I'm sure those didn't notice, Gny Sgt pretty much lived a small building in a car with one arm, and I'm pretty sure that your frustrations of working with the Navy trying to get those guys in shape by helping you out with your personal PT program. So nicely done there. Okay, after that, 2007, he deployed back to Iraq, OIF. Mom and kids, brother, sister. Obviously, family came out from New York to make the trip across the country. And first of all, I want to say without your support, there's no way that Gny Sgt would have been able to progress at the level he did all the way to the top of his career. With that, tremendous sacrifices you guys have made. often goes unnoticed, but there's absolutely no way without the support. And also, sorry, Ventura, for you as well. I'm up here screwed up already. But obviously, the support that you guys have provided, and the sacrifices you guys have made, often goes unrecognized, but definitely not unnoticed by the Marines that are working with Gny Ventura. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate everything you guys have done to allow him to rise to the top like he has. We got Sergeant Major here. Appreciate you coming out. Any other commanders in the audience? All right. The Marines, thank you for taking time as well. It's definitely a privilege and an honor to have the opportunity to come up here as the retiring officer for Gny Sgt. Ventura as we celebrate his career. The first thing I'll say, not too many people know a whole lot about the outstanding and heroic efforts of Gny Sgt. Ventura, mainly because he's such a humble Marine. Doesn't really get excited about all the accolades and all the awards that he has on his chest. Most people aren't aware of that, but definitely a proven combat veteran, and we'll talk a little bit about that. As the headquarters CO, I jumped into the job about 7 months ago, and Gny Sgt. Ventura was the PSD first sergeant, and basically my first senior enlisted advisor. And I'll say I jumped in feet first, not knowing what I didn't know about command and all the issues that pop up and decisions that needed to be made. And I definitely can't thank you enough for all the mentorship and guidance you gave me. And hopefully, like to think, was a relatively successful time as the headquarters CO. So appreciate all the hard work. I definitely learned a tremendous amount. And I can't thank you enough for all the support you provided for me during that time. I've got a cheat sheet. Just want to kind of go through the highlights. You guys have the brochures there. Just go through a couple of the highlights of Gny Sgt. Ventura's career. Kind of talk about some of the things that he probably hasn't told you all about. I know for the family, maybe you aren't aware of some of the outstanding things that he's done, but I'll try to highlight some of the key points and keep this faster and funnier. So like Chaplain said, you've heard already, he enlisted September 1995, 20 years ago, went through boot camp in Paris Island, and then went down to Billington, Tennessee to go through A school, and then down to North Island here in Coronado for C school. From there, jumped off to Cherry Point for his first duty station, working with Mouse 14, and then first squadron, getting his feet wet as the GSC rep of the squadron there with VMA 231. After that, rolls out to K-Bay. You notice a kind of a trend here where he ends up in Hawaii quite a little bit during his career. But with that said, he basically hit all points of the country as well as out of Japan. So goes to K-Bay and attached to HMT 301, and immediately you see he's riding to the top. He's the guide out there, which is junior Marine. It's kind of a big deal. The family aren't aware. Definitely noticed for his leadership, and immediately taking the helm as the squadron guide. After that, he takes a brief trip out to Iwakuni, Japan, working with Miles 12. Spends about a year at Iwakuni. Immediately rising up to the top. For those that don't know, the production control chief at Miles is kind of the pinnacle job that you strive for in the Miles organization. And he just immediately jumped in there. He was junior staff sergeant at the time, and making things happen out there. So again, attributing to his leadership along the way. Following that, he retrogrades back to North Island, back to C school, being an instructor there in North Island. And again, spent 3 years there, giving back everything that he learned up to that point to the Marines as a mentor and a leader, basically teaching the young Marines as they're coming through, learning their skills. While he was there, he also was in charge of the Navy's PT program. So I'm sure those didn't notice, Gny Ventura can pretty much lift a small building and a car with one arm. And I'm pretty sure your frustrations of working with the Navy trying to get those guys in shape, I helped you out with your personal PT program. So nicely done there. But after that, 2007, he deployed back to Iraq, OIF, working out of Korean Village, running the GSC shop down there and supporting all the Huey and Cobra ops going through Korean Village. And definitely for those that have been out in Iraq, not the luxurious place to be. Definitely making things happen out there. In 2008, goes to 3rd Marines in Hawaii, and basically is with one of the embedded training teams for the Afghans, going out there basically supporting those guys, teaching them how to do business as far as combat arms is concerned, and trying to teach them basically basic rifleman skills, essentially going out there, taking the fight to the enemy, and basically it's a small team that is in charge of helping those guys out, and that's what he was at NCOIC, running the organization for I think it's ETT Flying Tac 4, right? I'll come back to that here in a little bit to talk about some of the outstanding work that he did while he was there that most probably aren't aware of. Okay, moving on from there, he goes to Val's 39 at Camp Pendleton, so kind of hitting all four corners at this point. He's a squadron gunnery sergeant there, and then he moves down to Val's 11, and he's the squadron gunnery sergeant for Val's 11. While at Val's 11, he deploys again to OEF, now operating out of Camp Bastion. Most people are familiar with that, the Helmand province. Following that, in 2012, he comes to headquarters at Mag 11 here, where he's been about the last 3 years now, and where he's going to finish out his career on a strong note. Okay, the one thing I'd like to talk about, like the accolades and the chest candy and all that stuff that most people are excited about, or how they measure their careers. I'll tell you, I didn't know anything about the details or the history of what Gny Ventura did during his time. But he's one of the few people I know that has a Bronze Star with Combat Valor with a V. That's not something that's given out in the Marine Corps. I'll talk a little bit about what went down. He's basically doing what they call key leader engagement, where they're going out with the Afghans in Afghanistan, and generally they'll have the Afghan army, which is who he's basically an advisor for. Kind of lead the charge with U.S. Army platoons. He had 1st Platoon and 4th Platoon, basically in support as he goes into this village to meet the key leader, to do the engagement, kind of figure out what the enemy's doing out there, what's going on. And Gny Ventura basically is in charge of that team going in there advising those guys. So you got 1 platoon that's on one side of the village, 1st Platoon on the other side of the village, and they're basically in supporting role just in case anything goes sideways out there. They start taking enemy contact. They're there to support. So Gny Ventura leads his team straight up the middle, right into the village. Does the meet and greet with the key leader, and then exfils out of the village. On their way out of the village, they're the first ones to leave, and 1st Platoon basically in support is exfilling behind them as they're going back to their base camp. And during that time, 1st Platoon comes under heavy direct machine gun and precise small arms fire. So rather than Gny Ventura at this point, his team is not in the direct line of fire, but they definitely hear the sound of the guns blazing, and rather than continuing on his way and go in that direction, which most of the Afghans were more likely to do, they're interested in not being in the direct line of fire. Gny Ventura obviously saw that some of the Army soldiers and Afghan soldiers were out there, definitely in harm's way, needing some support. He basically leads his team, head first, charger right back into the line of fire. It goes about 500 meters while taking direct contact. During that time, he's got some Kiowa attack helicopters basically in support. He's basically calling for the fire to put rounds on range down where the enemy's located at that point. Basically Winchesters, that section of helicopters, which means they expend all their ordnance. They got nothing else they can provide, so they basically leave the scene, and in comes some Apache attack helicopters. And again, he's continuing to direct the fight to where the enemy is. And unfortunately, during this time, while they're taking up machine gun fire and the small arms fire from the enemy, one of the Apaches kind of misguides their 30 millimeter gunfire and basically sends some rounds a little bit short from their intended target, and ends up basically injuring some of the soldiers that he's basically there supporting. So now he's got enemy fire from the enemy, and he's got coalition of fires that's basically raining down on his team. He's got 2 urgent surgical, which is not a good thing. Probably the most extreme case you can have, 2 urgent surgical Casevacs with soldiers that are down, 1 priority and 1 routine. So during that time, he's continuing to direct the fight. He's putting tourniquets, the same people's lives out there, making sure they don't bleed out, and continue to take the fight to the enemy. So, bottom line, at the end of the day, they end up making it out. Obviously, pretty bruised up and not in a very good situation. But he gets his team out of there and leads them in and out. So, bottom line, definitely some heroic activity there, and definitely something that probably everybody here would strive to do, but very few of us have the opportunity to do, and obviously proving yourself in combat. So, definitely outstanding work. So, for those who didn't know, that's Cody Sergeant Ventura, some of the few things that you've done in his career that you basically doesn't want to tell anybody about. You noticed your return there, and you kind of glossed right over that. There's no mention of some of his actions that he took out there, but definitely some noteworthy action. I think everybody here, respects obviously, and would strive to, have achieved the same accomplishments that he did out there. So definitely some outstanding work. Going back to his actual MOS, which is ground support equipment. I don't know too many Marines that joined the Marine Corps to be ground support equipment Marines. Definitely not the sexiest of MOSs. The bottom line, Gny Ventura joined the Marine Corps with aspirations and lies from his recruiter that basically said, hey, you go to boot camp, you get your first pick at any MOS you wanted. What he was looking for was to be an MP, do a quick tour of the Marines, and then take his skills out to New York to be basically a police officer in New York. So it didn't exactly pan out. He got first honor grad from boot camp, and they said, congratulations, you're a GSC Marine. I don't care what the other guy told you, and you're going to go do this GSC work. So bottom line, I think he is the absolute example of what we mean by every Marine's a rifleman, and definitely displayed that by marching to the sound of the guns, taking every opportunity to go out there and basically do the deployments that you did, especially the embedded training team, basically going out there and doing the rifleman thing and doing an outstanding job at that. So, for the Marines, I don't think there's a single Marine standing out there that wouldn't follow you anywhere. I know pretty much everybody in this organization headquarters that's known you absolutely has the utmost respect for the work that you've done and the guidance that you've given everybody. I know Sergeant Baker in particular has the utmost respect, and especially comes to you for mentorship as well for many of the issues that we've dealt with. So outstanding work with that. See if I missed anything I want to get into. So, bottom line, like we talked about earlier, definitely absolutely humble Marine. Like the chaplain said, exemplary example for everybody to follow and emulate. In my mind, what's important when you measure yourself at the end of the day, as you move on to the next chapter of your life, is the legacy that you leave behind. And I can tell you that the Marines that are standing out in front of you here, have absolutely learned from your mentorship and guidance, and I think we're definitely in good hands with all the examples of leadership and guidance and mentorship you provided. So I can't thank you enough for that. So talking with your daughter earlier, she told me that she's excited that you're going to be able to spend some free time, and that I didn't realize this, but Gny Ventura has aspirations to put the stenciled letters on the little sugar heart candies that you guys see. So I figure it's about $10 a letter, and she's got a pretty good future ahead of her. So congratulations on that, and I'm sure you're going to look forward to the next part of your career. But in all seriousness, it's not about me up here talking to you. I'll turn the mic over to you. Just want to say thanks to all you've done for us and for the Marine Corps. And it's definitely a bittersweet moment, obviously, as you move on to the next chapter of your life. But can't thank you enough for all the hard work you've done, and wish you all the best in the future, and Semper Fidelis.